Welcome to Advanced Insights, where we provide just what the show name suggests, advanced insights into some of the most exciting trends and topics in technology. On this episode, I'm joined by Anush Elgavan, Vice President of AI Software at AMD, where he leads the evolution of the company's unified AI stack and champions an open ecosystem. He prioritizes a developer-first approach that fosters innovation across hardware-constrained cycles. Previously a co-founder of Nod.ai, he now drives the expansion of ROCm, empowering the developers and organizations to unlock new frontiers in AI performance and energy efficiency. Anush, it is great to have you on the show. I've been thinking about this discussion for a long time. And speaking about a long time, we met a long time ago. It was actually over a decade ago. I remember meeting you at a San Jose Sharks hockey game. I don't even think you were leading Nod.ai yet, your startup that you're CEO and founder of. I don't think that had even taken off yet.
Not yet. I was at Google at the time working on Chrome and Chrome OS. But it's an interesting journey. Funnily, years later, we built a product called Shark, and it's now part of AMD's software portfolio to build high-speed inference. But we're super excited to be part of AMD. I'm super excited. The team is supercharged, and we're looking forward to what we can do together.
Well, as we talk about some of your history, it'd be great to start there, because I look at what you're doing in AMD and your role running our software stack for AI, and I don't think you could have a better heritage, because you look at Chrome, and it was just a massive impact on what open source software can accomplish. And then Nod.ai, where you got in early in AI and were committed to open source in terms of easing the ability for people to actually take advantage of AI and develop applications. So if we could start with just your perspective, like what drew you into that path? Maybe some lessons learned that you took away.
Definitely. So I think Chrome taught me about fast software delivery, right? Like we had a stringent 6 weeks release cycle that was going out to, at that time, I think it was like 700 million, 800 million users of Chrome. And so how you ship fast but maintain the quality was paramount. At the same time, developer velocity also is important, right? So we're trying to bring those learnings into how ROCm functions and how we build ROCm. And we've had a past in how ROCm got here, but now for what we have to address the opportunity ahead, we would like to take those learnings from Chrome and Android and see what we can bring in to make ROCm the fastest way to unlock AI. Given that we have an open source ethos similar to what we did with Chromium and Chrome, it is very easy to draw parallels, and we hope ROCm will do to the AI software stack what Chromium did to Chrome and Edge browsers.
Well, for those that aren't familiar with ROCm, I mean, most people know that is the enabler for our AMD AI products, but maybe start just with a definition of ROCm and how it fits in the stack.
Yeah. So AMD's software stack that runs all of AMD's hardware is called ROCm. It allows you to access the innovations that we've made in the hardware in a very easy to use, approachable way. And it provides the hooks necessary for you to build solutions that can then be hooked up into your AI workloads and your AI solutions.
Anush, when you think about going up against a dominant competitor, like, so everyone doesn't think about, well, how do I get at NVIDIA and CUDA and how do I run it? Because it had been the de facto standard. Now AMD is bringing competition and taking market shares, is growing the AI applications with the Instinct product line. So how do you think about getting ROCm easy to deploy and top of mind for developers?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Primarily, the focus had been on performance, which we still do, right? Like, for example, between ROCm 6 and 7, which is just a few months apart, we've gotten about a 3x or more than a 3x improvement in both inference and in training. Just generational, ROCm 6 to ROCm 7. That's moving fast, right? And we will continue to do that on the performance side. to your question on ease of access, what we're trying to do is we don't want it to be an exclusive club that only, those with access to big machines get access to it. So we want to make it, one, accessible on any AMD hardware. So if you have a Strix Halo, you should be able to install ROCm and consume and create the same AI applications on a local laptop, but then you can deploy in production on the AMD Developer Cloud or in your own data centers. So we want to make it pervasive. So we got this pervasive hardware layer that AMD has built over the years, and now we're building this pervasive software layer with ROCm, and then you can bring it to the data center and deploy at scale. But we also want to make it easy. So something as easy as, for engineers, there's something called pip install, ROCm. We've started to make that available. So it's just as easy as like you're just, writing a few words in and you got ROCm installed, right? And then you can do anything you wish to do with ROCm. So those are the learnings that we've gotten from, like how Chrome delivers, right? Like if you ask someone, what version of Chrome are you on? Nobody knows, but they just know it's the latest version. It always works and it's good, right? And so we're trying to bring those, ease of use and even updates into the ROCm software system, ecosystem, so that it's easy to use and consume.
So you mentioned ROCm 7s, and we've been at this years. How do you feel our progression has been at AMD on the journey to get ROCm to be best in class? Like, tell us a little bit about ROCm 7.
Yeah.
I know I've talked to you personally, so I know you're proud of it and you should be, but share with those listening into the podcast why this is a significant step up in software capabilities for AMD's AI stack.
One of the main things that we continue to invest in is algorithms and kernels, right? Like we just need to be in the forefront of how you can unlock the value that the hardware provides and what algorithms you build on it, what kernels you build on it. But then there are also ecosystem-wide investments that we're making. So day zero support of any model that comes out, it just works on AMD today. Like for example, OpenAI came out with the GPT-OSS model. Day zero, it works. And it's not just that it works, it is performant on AMD, right? So we work with the frontier labs to make sure that all of the building blocks are already there, and that's part of ROCm 7, so that the next frontier model that's released, we will know that it will be working on day zero. And then there are other ease of use for different verticals, right? Like we have enterprise AI capabilities so that IT managers would be able to monitor and efficiently use their GPU deployment. We're also bringing about the capability for developers to be able to spin up and spin down instances on demand. All of those are already built into ROCm 7 and the capabilities that ROCm 7 enables.
Engineers always hate to talk about documentation. It's like it always seems to be last on the list. But from a customer experience, documentation is really important.
Yeah.
Where does that stand with ROCm 7?
I think we're doing a big overhaul of how we're approaching documentation. We're also not looking at documentation purely as a static interface, right? That's like a Web 1.0 interface. You're going to look for a doc. So we're building out ROCm document agents. These agents are things that people can interact with, and it maintains your personalized context so that you're able to pick up where you left off. So you could potentially be debugging a potential slowness in your network, right? And then you should just be able to chat with an agent and say, hey, I'm looking at this, and it's collecting some logs, it's analyzing it. So we're starting to weave documentation along with debuggability and have like an agentic interface.
I love it. It's become live, interactive documentation.
And so you are consuming the AI enablement that you're doing.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I've had other guests on this podcast, and we talk about how AI, generative AI, and now agentic AI in sequence has just brought fundamental changes to how we all work, how we play, and how we're just accessing technology. It's just lowered the barrier to get at amazing computational and AI capabilities. What about also, you lead the AI software development. I'm pivoting off of ROCm 7 now into I'll say a little bit of the guts of software development. Are you and your team actually using AI to speed the development of the next ROCm software stack release.
Very, very much so. So we've been able to take all of these kernels and the tokens that were available and train LLMs to be able to assist our kernel developers to be able to make better kernels. So the baseline of generating a kernel is now agentic in form, right? Like you could start with, write me a kernel, all the boilerplate is done, all the base wiring is done. And now you just have to, probably unlock and give human intuition to things that the agent may not be aware of to be able to wrap it up. And so kernel generation becomes automatic. So that's kernel generation. But then there's also log analyses, right? Like AMD is now getting to the scale of tens of thousands of GPUs in single clusters. And I've personally helped deploy some of these. And the scale at which we are deploying these and how fast we're deploying it is drastically lowering and getting faster. So that's another area. There's also validation and testing that we're making and exploring to make it agentic, because the manual parts of CI/CD is one, but then there's the part where there's enough intelligence that when you hit some sort of like glitch, what do you do next? An LLM can actually help you get through quite a bit of steps with just guided reasoning to a point where, it boils down to this little thing that a human will have to take a look at. And that is immensely valuable. So we're pushing on all of those fronts to enable our development velocity.
You got to be really exciting. I mean, it's fundamentally changing how you practice the craft. You mentioned CI/CD just a second ago, the continuous integration, continuous development, so central for any software development. And you mentioned and announced at the AMD Advancing AI event the delivery of a developer cloud. Maybe you could give our listeners an update. Like, is it up and running? What kind of uptake are you getting?
So the developer cloud uptake has been immense, and our utilization is 95% plus on the dev cloud. We are actively expanding the capacity. We didn't expect this much demand. I think more than 1 million GPU hours have been utilized, and it's overflowing into actual business demand and customers wanting to deploy on AMD, which is a good sign for us. And then on the CI/CD pipelines, it is fundamental to going back to the association with Chrome and Chrome OS, how we did it there. There's a saying that trunk is always shippable, which is like at any point you should be able to make a software release, right? And which means all of the quality assurance happens before a code commit goes into the main line, right? And so we are making immense investments to move all of that, because at any point we can make a release, and that means much faster development velocity. But we're also going out and supporting the ecosystem. It is imperative that every ecosystem software that is there that we plan to support, we support holistically. It's not just for service of like, okay, here's some software. If we take on a particular ecosystem, it will be fully supported by the AMD team. And so we'll fund all of the CI/CD for that.
And with that kind of investment that you've made with both infrastructure and with the team you have supporting it, are you seeing more downloads of the ROCm software, and then B, just feedback from users? What are you hearing?
Yeah, very much so. We track ROCm downloads both from pytorch.org and on our GitHub releases, our release pages. It is drastically improving and increasing. We still have a ways to go to catch up to the incumbent, and I think we have a clear charter in terms of what to do and how to execute. One of the superpowers that we have is it's open. Like, it's not like, hey, come to the ivory tower and we're going to give you something. It's like we're moving the ball forward for everyone, so everyone can pull, right? And so when it triggers, it'll be an avalanche of conversions that we think will happen when everyone just assumes that, yes, this is how you do AI software.
With the acquisition of ZT Systems and now the expansion of scope to rack scale development, how does that affect software? How does it affect our AI software stack?
It is a natural progression from, the early days were like, hey, here's hardware. Here's a BSP that enables the hardware. And here you can go do what you want to do with it, right? Then you get to node level where here's the software, and now you can do something at a node level. But now we're getting to rack and cluster scale where we give you a full blueprint of what you can deploy at scale, and it just works out the box, right? Because now we have to give you a pre-validated solution that is customizable, because each data center is different, each customer is different, each rack may be potentially different. But we need to think end to end from a fully vertical integration. Even though we don't have to own all the pieces,
Yeah.
we have to be able to get all of the components validated to a point where it feels like it's one seamless product. And so we are starting to think about system software, clusters, reliability. In fact, one of the key things beyond performance is always, that's
Foundational.
that's foundational. It's like you need to be performant, and there's a TCO advantage. Those two are immutable, and I think between our hardware and software teams, we'll do that. But we want to invest heavily in how we, build a, borrowing from the old compact days, like a non-stop OS, if you will, right? Like, because you do want to keep your training jobs running, even if a GPU went down, if a tray went down. Obviously, there's a balance between, you can go, fully formally verify every failure and try to do how to handle it, versus, yes, these failures can happen. You have a lossy, network, or you have things that could go down, but then you have redundancy built in. And the reliability and availability of the entire stack needs to be factored in, because you don't want to have one GPU in a cluster bring down the entire cluster, or a job that's running on a cluster scale, as we're getting towards the 100,000 plus GPU, in a cluster.
Anush, you support some of the most demanding customers in the world. They're running massive AI clusters. Tell us a little bit about, like, how do you deal with that, and have you had to change your modus operandi with your team?
It is a very, very important aspect of my job, right? And as we have grown exponentially, the expectation of like how you keep the lights on for these like frontier labs that are deploying at scale is also high, right? Like, because if something goes down, it's 100,000 GPUs are down. Essentially, you've caused a power blip, because like 100,000 GPUs, either are spinning up all together or going down together. So for my team, I tell them, think of your job, at least in the forward deployment engineering. We have two teams. One is the software development engineering, right, which is like you do software development to PRDs. And then we have a forward deployed engineering, which is you take a customer and you take all what we have and you make them successful, right? So the FDE team is the team that handles all of these customer intake and how do we make sure the customer is happy every day. It is like working in a ER, right? Like, it's every day there's something that you have to be there.
Do you do triage like an emergency room?
You do. You literally do. You're like, okay, the GPUs are back up and it's good. And the customer is happy, and we have to go figure out, did the power go off? Did the, cables, get cut accidentally? Whatever the failure is, there are just failures that we have to factor in. But the process that we're instilling in that is we want to learn from every failure, right? Every failure has a root cause analysis. Every failure has a no blame postmortem, which is not like blaming who did what wrong. What could we do to make it better so that the next customer is successful? And so we don't de-escalate something until it has gone through that entire process and the software is updated or the hardware is updated for the next generation. We are investing in ROCm and the software for the next 5-10 years. It's not about just, ROCm 7 is one step towards a multi-generational journey.
Well, speaking of the multi-generational journey, 2024, I think, when I look at you and your team, exactly that customer support that you just described was consuming. Yep. And when 2025 came around, you told me time to focus on the ecosystem and your commitment to open. Why don't you share a little bit? What did that mean? Like, what's happened in 2025? What new things have been put out there? I'm sure you mentioned some of it already, but just recap for us. What your change in approach and support model has been for the ecosystem.
The 2023 era was, hey, we have a well-lit path, right? Walk this well-lit path and things will work well on AMD. But now go explore the world, because we are going to go enable the ecosystem around you, and we're going to light up, wherever you want to go, right? So it's, if it's VLLM plus SGLang plus Ray plus, there's all like ecosystem efforts.
Yes.
But we want to make sure those are in a good spot too, so that you can explore and find what works best for you, and AMD will be there to make sure that works best for you, right? So we've gone from a well-known path to like explore the world, and if there is anything that we have to do better, we will continue to invest to make sure that that is better.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I think you just had a proof point because you recently invited reviewers in to kick the tires on ROCm 7. And I'm sure the first thing they did was try their favorite, library or software application. So has that expanded focus paid off?
Yes, very much so. In fact, for the ROCm 7 launch, we had, even the tech press was able to build agentic applications with just a few clicks of in a Jupyter notebook. We've made it easy. We'll continue to make it easy. But I think the overall story is that we just want to make sure that the ecosystem is healthy, CI/CD being one, contributions, and mostly because it is self-serving in a way, because the speed at which the ecosystem moves is something that proprietary systems cannot handle. Case in point, for example, the TRT LLM, which is NVIDIA's like serving infrastructure, is great for certain cases, but if a new model comes out, it takes a while for it to be added and to be performant, right? Because someone has to, go work it. And
Yes.
But if it is like GPT-OSS came out, SGLang and VLLM, day zero, it already had full performance and it was like ready to go. So if you have the open path, you have the open ecosystem behind you, you get speed, right? And like I say in a lot
And that's what you have with ROCm 7.
Exactly. You get speed in terms of how fast things work, right? And you get speed in terms of how adaptable it is, so that when the next model comes, you can actually deploy fast. And so ROCm 7 plus the ecosystem gives you immense tools to, just move fast.
Well, I want to go back to a point you mentioned earlier in our chat, and you talked about extending ROCm and AI support to laptops and other parts of the portfolio. When you think about AI, it is becoming pervasive. So it's supercomputers already. It's of course these cloud deployments, but it's moving to the edge. It's moving to across almost every embedded device. It's in laptops. All the AMD laptops are AI accelerated, and so you have this this whole range of applications. How do you think about that as you drive the software stack development, and how do you see that playing out over the next year to two?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a waterfall of intelligence, right? You're always going to have the 100K GPU cluster that we are supporting that has, immense reasoning and thinking and capability to do quote unquote deep research, because it's going through every known thing that exists and every known combination of that and iterating on that. But then the distilled models from that big, let's say behemoth, right? Like, I think the llama analogy can get down to a distilled model that could potentially be used for certain situations. Like, let's say you want to distill a model that is really good at medical diagnoses, right? You could take this 100K GPU model and distill all known medical artifacts and knowledge into a smaller model that is consumable from your desktop PC or from your laptop, right? So it's like a student-teacher relationship. But you could also have smaller models of the general purpose model that is more applicable to you. For example, the GPT-OSS from OpenAI is a fully open weight model. It runs on a Strix Halo beautifully, right? Like the Ryzen Max 395 Plus. And you can just run that entire model, the 120 billion parameter model, on a laptop with no connection to the internet. And all of that knowledge is now available on that laptop.
I think that's a game changer. I don't think people really realize these SLMs, these small language models that are finely tuned, but they're not small models, like you said, the 70 billion to even 120 billion parameters. That's a game changer. I mean, because you think about that, yes, it's in your laptop, so that affords you portability as you're moving across your day, but that same device can be embedded onto a factory floor and be finely tuned to that application. It can be at a base station on the telco edge. I mean, so you just, it's in that ultrasound device. I mean, you go on and on and on of suddenly saying, oh my God, I have that type of AI capability just embedded in the device I'm using or in my laptop, which I use for content creation every day.
Having lived through the internet era, that was mind-blowing because it gave connectivity to all of the data that existed. And this is kind of the next phase of that, where the internet got you to reach to certain aspects and get that intelligence. But now we're packaging the internet's collective intelligence into models that are, again, coming back closer to you, right? So it's not that you have to go elsewhere. It's right there. It's, you start interacting with it.
You talk about moving quickly and how an open ecosystem will speed that. I always like to wrap up these chats with asking my guests their view of the next few years. I used to say, and when I'd have discussions with people, I used to ask about 5 to 10 years from now. But AI is moving so fast, I guess I'll say, Anush, what's coming the next 2 to 3 years in your point of view?
I think AI will weave itself into our fabric in a way that we may not even recognize it. And we'll just see benefits of it, right? So I think over the next 2-3 years, the capabilities of agents are going to increase. They're going to get pervasive, and they're going to weave themselves into problem domains that we didn't know we needed help. And then we'll be like, duh, we do need that help, because why would I be, doing something like this, right? So I think that is going to be powerful, because that finds itself into like everyday life. And when it finds itself into everyday life, it moves, entire humanity forward, right? Like, because you just automatically build that into your baseline assumption of what humans are capable of. And so that, and then, I think the capabilities are also going to drastically increase, right? Like, we're getting to text to image, text to video models that have audio soundtracks. So creativity is going to get unleashed in one form, but it'll also get, repurposed in another form. Post-production, for example, may change, right? Like, people will be like, take the scene and have Mark sit in a, like a Zen garden.
I love it. I look forward to that.
and that'll just be a command that someone talks into their thing, and it'll be a Zen garden. Like, no, we need a koi pond next to that, and it shows up. I think increasingly it's going to get more capable. And even in the next 2 to 3 years, like in 2 years, if we do this again, we should look back to like what has changed.
I do think, I just add one comment on your view. It's a really exciting view going forward, but people get scared of that because they say, well, it's going to eliminate all these things I'm spending my time with. How do you coach, for instance, your engineers? As you mentioned earlier, how they're adopting AI. How do you have them think about it? Are they actually eliminating the job, or are they making themselves a much more productive engineer and coder?
So I think AI will be transformative, right? It's just like electricity. When we invented electricity, we were like, oh, we don't need oil lamps, we're going to use electric lamps. So it's kind of like the first use case. But then, oh, these things can power motors now, and I can pump water from the thing, or I can, the next order enablement is going to become a domino effect.
Yes.
And so that domino effect, there will be hard transitions. There will be industries that are transformed, but we should look at it from a positive light to say, how could we leverage it to augment what we do? So even for a software engineer's job, theoretically, like, a software agent can start doing that level of, programming. But there's always going to be if an agent can do that, what should we do, right? And I'd focus on that, right? And so, but obviously there's always going to be cases that we need to go hands in and, like
person in the loop,
exactly. But change, we have to be ready to accept, right? And with AI, I would just stress on like change is the only constant, right? And speed is the moat. So you got to move fast and be ready for change.
Well, I've had the chance to get to know you, and you are incredibly adept at handling change. It's amazing to me as I watch you and the different things you're dealing with on an hourly basis over the course of the day. And it was such a pleasure to get your thoughts on where AMD's AI software stack is going, but even more so, where the industry is going. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
It was great to hear from Manoush on AMD's journey to develop world-class AI software. With the new ROCm 7 release, it truly represents a milestone with day zero support across all the common use models and platforms. I loved hearing Anush's commitment to the democratization that open source software provides in open ecosystems, as well as how an open approach delivers speed of feature development. As Anush puts it, speed is the moat around that open source software product. Thank you for joining us today on Advanced Insights. I look forward to bringing you more in-depth conversations on cutting-edge technology, industry insights, and visionary perspectives from some of the brightest minds in the field. You can watch the video show on AMD's YouTube channel, or you can listen to an audio-only platform including Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music. Technology is always advancing, and I can't wait to share more insights with you next time.